Hey, this is Ty Hicks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I want to give you a very quick book review on a very powerful book that I just finished a couple weeks ago, and wanted to share a couple of the key insights for you. You know, part of the reason I put these videos out there is I understand that, if you can tap into the insights that somebody has gained over 5 or 10 or 20 years and packaged into a book, that's one of the easiest ways you can accelerate results in your own life. But I also understand that even taking the time to read a book is something that not many people will do for themselves. So I hope that this will spur a couple thoughts for you. Obviously, I always recommend to check out the entire book. As always, if you're ever interested in taking, your acceleration of results in any area of your life to the next level, then feel free to reach out so we can start a conversation about how you make that happen. But the book today I want to talk to you about is called High Performance Habits. This is written by Brendon Burchard. Here's a picture of him. He is a world-renowned high performance coach. He has been doing this for several decades, and he's also the founder of the High Performance Institute. So this book is really interesting because he literally surveyed and studied thousands of individuals who were, found to be high performers across many, many different industries. He's also been, a high performance coach to thousands of people for, many years. So he's got a lot of experience understanding these people, getting inside their minds, and figuring out, what really separates these folks from, your average Joe Schmo. And by the way, I always want to mention that, high performance. This whole idea, it's not about optimization or efficiency or productivity. I mean, that's a piece of it, but when I say high performer, it just means somebody who's living life and feeling fulfilled and really taking life by the horns and not just falling into patterns of complacency, wondering where their days are going and not really feeling that they're the conscious designer of their life. So that's what we're talking about here today. And what Brendon discovered is that there are essentially 6 key habits that any high performer has. And habit is a good word, but I almost would recommend us think about these in terms of just principles or ways in which these people live and how they're living. So the first one is clarity. So when he talks about clarity, what Brendon is really describing is that high performers have clarity on who they want to be. They've got clarity on their long-term vision in terms of the identity that they want to create for themselves. They've really got that honed in. They know without a shadow of a doubt who they're trying to become, what skills they're trying to improve. They know, by the way, the gap between what skills they currently have and what skills they need in order to have the impact that they want to have. But high performers are incredibly clear about the future that they want to create for themselves. That's number one. They've got a crystal clear, compelling vision for where they want to go. And this is one of the first things that I always talk with my clients on when we begin our work together is if you do not know where you want to go and what you want, you're never going to get it, right? I mean, Anthony Robbins has this great quote, imagine trying to win a game and you don't know what the freaking goal is. Well, that's how most people are living their life. They don't know what they're after or what would make them feel incredibly fulfilled, so they don't know if they're getting closer or further away. So that's the first piece of the clarity habit. But this other piece that I found really awesome about this book that it lays out is high performers are also clear about how they want to show up in each moment, right? So if they're going into a meeting or if they're about to have a call with a prospective client, or if they're about to go on media, TV, or anything that they're doing, they are asking themselves, who do I want to be in this moment? What outcome do I want? What am I really after? And this is critical. In fact, if there is any one principle of taking your life to the next level and feeling fulfilled that I would ever want you to understand, it's this one. Because when I was reading this book, it really resounded with me because it's something I teach as well. And that is, you want to be intentional, right? Most people do not feel fulfilled in their life because they're just going through their days, kind of like going through the motions. You're phoning it in. You're going to work, but you wish you were at home. But when you're at home, you don't even really wish you were at home because you're not even happy there. You really want to be anywhere other than where you actually are. And whenever you're wherever you are, you don't know why you're there and what you're hoping to get out of it. So if I could really sum this up in one essence, one word, it would be ask yourself why. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, ask yourself why you're there. You know, for instance, are you responding to a voicemail to get back to a client? Or are you responding to a voicemail so that you can tell that person that they need to understand that you've got their best interests at heart, and that you want them to know that you are really in their corner, and that you want their confidence to be soaring because of your work together, for example. Now that sounds kind of cliche and woo-woo, but what I really mean here is if you've got something clear and compelling about how you want to show up, you're going to have a different outcome, moment to moment, day to day, and ultimately in your ultimate destiny. If you're not asking yourself questions about how do I want to be in this moment, then you're just going to fall into your automatic patterns. You're going to be reacting to life as opposed to designing it for yourself. So I hope that makes sense to you. You've got to get clear on what are you looking to get out of each moment, and therefore how do you want to show up in each moment, and that's one of the habits that high performers have. Second habit out of the 6 is energy, okay? And this is critical, something you already know, but you're hardly going to be able to create a life that you deserve and that you desire and be fulfilled unless you've got a high level of energy. And I always tell people, you know, it's not always easy to have a high level of energy, but it is always worth it. And, you know, don't mistake yourself for thinking that, you know, your energy comes from your sleep or your food. I mean, energy is something we generate. It's something that we create. It's something we demand. And you have had moments in your life, I guarantee, where you shouldn't have had any energy by, you know, traditional understanding. You pulled an all-nighter or whatever the case is, but for some reason you were on the edge of your seat and you felt fully alive and you were completely energized. So the point here being that high performers take their energy seriously. They make it a priority to live every day with energy, and they're also self-monitoring to make sure that they're meeting each opportunity with as much energy as they can. And by the way, this doesn't just mean that you're enthusiastic and ecstatic and all over the place, as I probably seem right now, but even having what some people call a bottled enthusiasm is important. But making sure that, again, each opportunity you're meeting with this mindset of how do I pull as much out of this as possible, that's what we're really going after. So energy. 3, they increase necessity. And so the thing that I really want you to get here is that, you know, a lot of us tell ourselves that we want to change. We say, oh, I should change, I should do this, I should do that. But that's very different from I must do this or I must do that, right? High performers are individuals who raise the necessity for them to exceed in the areas that they want to. And one little tip I would give you to increase necessity in your own life is ask yourself, in the area that you really want to achieve in more ways or that you want to take to the next level, who's somebody that would greatly benefit from you doing so? And the reason why you want to ask this is the beautiful thing about human beings is we will do a lot more for others than we tend to do for ourselves. So if you can get clear on who am I serving and who is somebody that I can really make a stakeholder for my performance, then you'll move towards that with more tenacity. So they increase necessity. They make it a must, in other words. Another thing you could do, let me give you another tip on raising necessity. Associate with the consequences. So one of the processes that I will run my clients through is the 7-step process for achieving any goal. And one of the steps for achieving any goal is to associate with the consequences, both positive and negative. In other words, what are all the good consequences if you take action now? What are all the poor negative consequences that are going to occur when you don't take action? So what you should really do is, if there's an area you want to move to the next level, think, what's going to happen for me once I do start taking action? What are all the good things that will happen? Who are all the people that will benefit? What will my ultimate destiny be by creating that inertia? And then you want to paint a very different, stark contrast picture. And that picture is going to be, what happens if I don't? What happens if I fail? What will happen to my relationships? How will people view me? What will my legacy be? What will my ultimate destiny be? How will I look back on my life? And paint 2 specific pictures there, because then all of a sudden you'll get a feeling in your gut that makes it very clear, holy cow, I need to start moving immediately. And that can be a very useful tool for you to raise necessity and move towards what you want. Number 4, productivity. Now, this is one most people would think is at the top of the list. Now, when Brendan's talking about productivity, he does not mean raw output. He does not mean getting more tasks done. Although certainly high performers do get a lot more tasks done, but that's not really what he's talking about. When he talks about productivity, he uses this term called prolific quality output, or PQO, he abbreviates it to. And what he's talking about here is that high performers are not just mindlessly reacting to the world, doing tasks, stuck in their inbox, responding to their boss or their client's demands. Okay, what they're actually doing is they are zoning in on the key things that they need to be focused on producing. Okay, in other words, they have honed in on what are the key elements that I need to be producing that are the most valuable for my legacy, for my goals, and how can I hone in all of my time in that area. So that's what I really would encourage you to take a look at in your own life. This is one you could apply immediately, is think, okay, what are all the things that I do in my work? What are all the things I do associated with what I care about for my mission? And what percentage of my time is actually being spent generating prolific quality output? So let me give you an example. If I'm a manager, which I just so happen to be, by the way, of many people, the percentage of my time that is spent in my inbox managing tasks, doing administrative stuff, is not prolific quality output. It's necessary perhaps, but it's not prolific quality output. The most prolific quality output that I could have is motivating my team, focusing my team, generating systems that make my team's work easier, and making sure that I'm spending the proper amount of quality time bringing in new relationships for my organization, right? So how do I maximize that PQO? And that's the real question I want to be answering. So what is the PQO for you, and how do you maximize that? That's what you should be looking at there. Number 5 is influence. So high performers, by no surprise, have a high level of influence with others, right? You're never going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve, have the impact you want to have in the world, unless you're able to influence others. And that should go without saying. I'm not going to say much more about this because I have so much other content and trainings available for this topic in particular. It's one I've been studying for many years, and I've drawn a lot of insights both from my time in sales, my time in fundraising, as well as the thousands of people I've worked with on a leadership and coaching basis. So I really try to package those insights in a specific format for you there. So check those out if you want to expand that area. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, is courage. Okay, courage. Okay, sounds cliche. What is he talking about? Well, he's talking about something very real, I think, and this actually spoke home for me. When he's talking about courage, what he's talking about is that high performers understand they're going to be critiqued. High performers understand that when they enter into the world and magnify their impact and struggle with their challenges, they're going to meet resistance. They're going to meet failure. They're going to meet haters. They're going to meet a lot of challenges. They're going to meet a lot of things they never would have anticipated that they would meet that would stand in their way. But they move forward anyway. That's the point. He also mentions, that they're willing to stand up for what they believe is correct, even when they understand it may be the unpopular opinion. They're willing to go out on a limb. They're willing to go after what they really care about. They're willing to shed the insecurities. They're willing to face their own internal fears about, well, how are people going to judge me? How are people going to look at me? What if I fail? And they're willing to move forward through that process anyway. So they demonstrate profound courage. So that's something that I would also ask you to, honestly reflect on yourself with. What is something that you've been wanting to go after that you haven't? And what's the reason that you've used as justification for you to limit yourself? And, if you're fearful, that's okay. It's part of being human. But can you move forward anyway? I think that it's something that you need to recognize as imperative. If you want to live a completely fulfilled life and feel that you didn't leave anything on the dance floor, that you left all of it on the dance floor by the time you're at the end of your life, and that you didn't have any reservations, you're going to have to demonstrate courage, and you're going to have to recognize that people are not going to like everything you do. And that's just a marker of success. And by the way, many of them will critique what you're doing because they're not doing what they really want to do. And it's easier for them to try to pull you down than for them to muster up the strength and courage to go after what they care about. So anyway, the 6 habits in sum are clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage. This was a fantastic read. I highly recommend it. High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. And again, if you're ever interested in taking a look at your own daily rituals, your own daily practice habits, and what kind of destiny that's going to lead to you, and you want to take those to the next level, please reach out. I'd love to start a conversation with you. But hope this has been valuable. Tune into my other book reviews, and my other videos, and always live with purpose.